The arena lights in Abu Dhabi shimmered against a sea of anticipation, the kind that only forms when two undefeated fighters step into the ring with reputations too large to share the same space. On one side stood Dmitry Bivol, a champion whose composure had become almost mythological in modern boxing, a technician with a mind wired for precision and patience. Across from him was Gilberto Ramirez, the towering southpaw known as Zurdo, a fighter who carried both physical advantages and the pride of an unblemished record. 4 years, Ramirez had pursued this opportunity, insisting that his size, pressure, and relentless combinations were the formula to solve the puzzle of Bivol. Now, under the bright lights of Abu Dhabi, there would be no speculation left, only answers delivered through leather and willpower. From the opening moments, the contrast in styles revealed itself with striking clarity. Ramirez attempted to establish authority early, stepping forward behind his reach, probing with long punches designed to disrupt Bivol's rhythm. But Bivol's reaction was immediate and telling. Instead of retreating in panic, he adjusted angles with subtle footwork, gliding just outside the danger zone before snapping back with crisp counters. It was the kind of movement that didn't merely avoid punches. It drained confidence from opponents. Every time Ramirez thought he had found distance, Bivol shifted half a step, recalibrating the geometry of the exchange. Observers often compared his defensive intelligence to that of Floyd Mayweather, and in those early rounds, the comparison felt justified. He wasn't just defending, he was controlling the narrative of the fight. Ramirez, however, was no ordinary challenger. His reach advantage was real, and when he managed to connect to the body late in exchanges, the thud of impact echoed with intent. He tried to back Bivol toward the ropes, hoping to unleash the multi-punch combinations that had overwhelmed previous opponents. But Bivol refused to remain stationary. Each time his back neared danger, he pivoted out, reclaiming center ring like a chess master reclaiming the board. The discipline was relentless. There were no reckless moments, no unnecessary risks. Instead, there was a steady accumulation of scoring punches, sharp right hands, precise jabs, and combinations delivered with mechanical efficiency. As the rounds progressed, a subtle psychological shift became apparent. Ramirez, undefeated and accustomed to dictating fights, began to encounter unfamiliar resistance. His output slowed, not because he lacked stamina, but because uncertainty crept into his calculations. Bivol's defense forced hesitation. When Ramirez threw, he often met gloves, shoulders, or empty space. When Bivol threw, he landed clean. That difference, repeated over minutes and rounds, began to define the contest. Commentators noted that Bivol's opponents historically landed very few power punches per round, a statistic that spoke not only to his defensive skill but also to his ability to neutralize aggression before it materialized. By the middle rounds, Bivol's confidence had transformed into quiet dominance. He began stepping forward more assertively, meeting Ramirez in the center rather than circling away. His combinations came in bursts, 2 punches, 3 punches, sometimes more, before he slipped out of range again. It wasn't just offense, it was orchestration. Ramirez attempted to respond with counters, occasionally finding success with uppercuts or hooks, but the exchanges rarely favored him. Bivol's balance remained intact even during close-quarters moments, allowing him to exit exchanges with control rather than chaos. There were flashes where Ramirez reminded everyone why he had demanded this fight for so long. A solid body shot here, a left hand there, moments that hinted at potential momentum. Yet each surge was quickly smothered by Bivol's composure. Instead of being drawn into firefights, he reset the pace, returning to disciplined fundamentals. It was as though he refused to participate in any version of the fight that wasn't on his terms. That level of ring IQ created a growing sense that Ramirez wasn't merely losing rounds, he was being systematically outmaneuvered. As the 7th and 8th rounds unfolded, the tide turned decisively. Bivol's right hand began landing with increasing frequency, snapping Ramirez's head back and forcing him onto the defensive more often than anyone had ever seen. The champion's footwork became even more pronounced, stepping outside angles, turning Ramirez, and firing combinations before the challenger could reset. Spectators weren't just watching a competitive bout anymore. They were witnessing a masterclass in distance control and timing. Ramirez's corner urged him to increase volume, to become the relentless puncher he had always been, but executing that strategy against Bivol proved far easier in theory than in reality. By the championship rounds, urgency filled Ramirez's movements. He knew he was behind. His punches came with greater intent, occasionally landing flush, drawing cheers from fans desperate to see drama. But Bivol absorbed the moments without panic. Even when backed toward the ropes, he responded with counters that reasserted control. There was a calm inevitability about his performance, the sense that no matter what Ramirez attempted, the outcome remained unchanged. Analysts began speculating about future matchups, mentioning names like Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Yard, recognizing that performances like this didn't just defend titles, they reshaped divisions. The final round carried the faint possibility of a dramatic knockout, particularly given Ramirez's power and desperation. He pushed forward, searching for a decisive moment that could erase the scorecards. Yet Bivol continued to move, counter, and control. Even when exchanges grew heated, his composure never cracked. Ramirez swung with urgency, but the openings he needed never fully appeared. When the final bell rang, there was little doubt about what had transpired. This had not been a narrow victory or a controversial decision. It had been a demonstration, an exhibition of elite boxing fundamentals executed under championship pressure. As the fighters separated, the visual told the story as clearly as any scorecard. Ramirez, brave and determined, had endured punishment while chasing answers he never quite found. Bivol, composed and focused, looked like a man who had simply completed another assignment. The undefeated record remained intact, but more importantly, his aura had grown. He wasn't just a champion defending his belt. He was establishing himself as one of the most technically complete fighters in the sport. In the aftermath, discussions shifted from whether Bivol could handle elite opposition to who could possibly challenge him next. His ability to neutralize size advantages, control distance, and maintain defensive discipline under pressure suggested a fighter entering his prime with dangerous momentum. Ramirez, despite defeat, earned respect for his toughness and willingness to engage, absorbing heavy shots without surrendering. Yet the night belonged unmistakably to Bivol, a performance that reinforced his reputation as a cerebral tactician capable of dismantling undefeated challengers. What made the fight compelling wasn't just the punches thrown but the strategic narrative unfolding round by round. It was the story of a challenger seeking validation against a champion who refused to relinquish control. It was about adjustments, patience, level chess played at violent speed, each move calculated, each mistake costly. When historians look back on this bout, they may not remember a single dramatic knockout or knockdown. Instead, they will remember the precision, the timing, the inevitability. They will remember how one fighter entered with ambition and another left with confirmation of greatness. Because sometimes dominance doesn't require spectacle, it requires mastery. And on this night, mastery was exactly what unfolded inside the ropes. Now the conversation turns to you. Did you expect such a one-sided technical performance? Or were you anticipating a closer battle between these undefeated warriors? Who do you think has the best chance of challenging Bivol at this stage of his career? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoy deep, dramatic breakdowns of boxing's biggest fights, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story unfolding in